we're going to be talking about the end-to-end process for the transportation of troops. Okay, so thank you. I would like to thank you, my colleague Brian, that is next to me for the session he delivered yesterday on the transportation management process for COE. Okay, and we might be having some people that already attended the COE session, so we will see that the process to transport troops is very similar to the one we saw yesterday for COE, and there might be some slight changes that we will be focusing on today. Okay, so before we start, let me make sure that we are recording the session. Okay, so thank you, Brian. And as every day, please make use of the chat for questions and comments. We are recording the session, and we will be sending to you both the presentation and the recorded session in the following days. Okay, and also we will send to you the link to do this test, 5 questions, just for you to refresh the different concepts that we are going to review in today's session. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about troops, and by this time you should be already familiar with the poster, the end-to-end poster that we are using to present the different end-to-end scenarios. We use the same poster for UNOE, for COE, and today we are going to be talking about troops. And in troops, the end-to-end process starts with the load list, and this is something we already discussed yesterday. So this part of the process, the inputting the different items, in this case, the information about the troops that needs to be transported, is subject to changes, and we were discussing about that yesterday. But the concepts will remain very similar. The concept of the different products, I mean the troops, the chocks, the cabin baggage, and all the different items will remain the same, but the process in order to upload that information in the system might change. Okay, so for troops, we start with the upload of that information into the TM module. So there is no part where we erase any shopping cart in SRM. So we need to upload that information, and that will create a forwarding order in the system, so that we can do the planning of the transportation. And in this case, we will talk about how to plan the transportation of the troops and the related cargo and cabin baggages. And as always, we will have the 2 stages. For an LOA scenario, we will have the stage for which the TCC is responsible for the transportation, and in a non-LOA scenario, it's where the freight forwarder will be responsible for the transportation, and where we have to plan the transportation. Okay. The 3rd phase will be the freight procurement. In a non-LOA scenario, we will need to award the freight services to a freight forwarder, and once we have a freight forwarder that will take care of the transportation, then we will enter the execution and monitoring phase, that for an LOA scenario can only be done in TM, and because the TCC will not have access to CCP, and this is something we also discussed yesterday, that in the case that MoveCon is not responsible for updating the events, that also might change the TCC stage. But in any way, if it has to be done, it has to be done in TM, because TCCs will not have access to CCP in order to submit events and attachments. And in case we have a freight forwarder that will be doing the transportation, freight forwarders will have access to the carrier collaboration portal, and they can submit the events and attachments. All right. Okay. So let's begin from the beginning of the end-to-end process and what we said before. So let's focus on the concepts and not that much in the process, because the way to upload the different information into a forwarding order in the system is subject to changes, but the concepts will remain the same. Okay, so as of the current process, everything is initiated offline by creating an Excel upload list from the passenger flight manifest and from the cargo flight manifest. Okay, so first step will be to create this Excel load list, and this Excel load list is a summary of the different outputs from the memory of understanding between the troops contributing country and the United Nations. And basically, we are using the two following documents. We are using information contained in the passenger flight manifest together with the information contained in the cargo list. Okay, because when we are talking about transporting the transportation of troops, we will include the information for passengers and also for the related cargo and cabin baggages. Okay. All right. As we said yesterday, it's important to point out that TM is not meant to be a travel management system, and therefore we will only summarize the information contained in the passenger flight manifest and in the cargo list. So in TM, we will not upload each individual details of the passengers, but only the total amount of passengers and the total amount of cargo and cabin baggage that we need to transport, so that we make sure that that information is shared with the freight forwarders so that they can plan and they can also estimate the charges for the transportation. Okay, so in TM, you will not find the details of each specific passenger, but only a summary of the information. Yesterday, we saw the COE end-to-end process. Okay, so I think most of the people already attended yesterday's sessions. So which are the main differences? The main differences now that we are talking about troops. The items contained in the forwarding order are different. So if you remember yesterday in the COE end-to-end process, the items we were transporting were the vehicles, containers, rolling stock, and so on. For troops, we have different types of items. We will be talking about chocks, troops, cabin baggage, and cargo baggage. Okay. In the current design of the system, the Excel template is the same, but the different products are different. So for troops, we have chocks, troops, and the related product types. What's also different for troops? For troops, we have always transportation that is from airport to airport. Okay, and that means that only one freight order, okay, will be created in the system. We saw both in UNOE and also in COE that when we do planning, we can have different legs. We can have different freight orders because we can have a pre-leg, let's say, for example, to bring the items from the source location maybe to the port or to the airport. Then we have a main leg, a main freight order that can be, for example, using the mode of transportation C, and then we have an on carriage to bring it to the final port or final airport to the mission. Okay. When we talk about troops, the TM will only care about bringing the items from the source airport to the destination airport. So there will be only one freight order, one leg. All right, so that's another difference now that today we are talking about the troops end-to-end process. Another difference for troops is that we have this scenario of round trip. So in the same MOU, we sometimes do the transportation as a round trip in order to do the troops rotation. So we might be creating for the same MOU round trip to deploy a set of troops and to repatriate the ones that are currently in the missions. Okay, so this round trip, it's something that only affects to the troops and doesn't apply that much to the COE process. Okay, all right. Let's go. As we said, with the Garmin design, we only have one template. It's the same template that was explained yesterday for the COE. So I think today we can go a little bit faster with that, because I'm seeing that most of the people are the same, if not all. Okay. So the XLS upload will be filled in with information contained in the passenger flight manifest and also from the cargo manifest for passengers. Okay, this is how it looks like, the template, the same one we were explaining yesterday, and the forwarding order type that we said yesterday that it was set FW1 for COE. It's a different one for troops, and that's another way when we see the different forwarding orders in the system in TM. A way to understand if we are talking about troops or COE, it's by the forwarding order type. Okay. Then we also said that service level can be used to prioritize the transportation, and we have different 3 levels. Okay, standards, present, high value, and are the same ones we explained yesterday for COE. Okay. What else do we have in this Excel load list? We have source location and destination locations. Okay, and as we said, in this case of troops, we are always talking about airports. So the source location and the destination locations should always relate to airports. Okay, no, we are not managing in TM the transportation of the troops from the source city up until the final mission, but only from source till the destination airport. Okay. We have the pickup date and time, all right, in here in blue, and we also have the delivery date and time, all right, in the marked in green. Okay, those are the other 2 fields that we have to populate in the Excel file. All the information that we upload to the Excel file are then used to populate or to be filled in the forwarding order, so that we said if in the end we meant to have, or we have a different way of uploading that information, it's important that you understand the different concepts like the forwarding order type, source location, destination location, because all this data will have to be filled in or will appear in the forwarding order. Okay. All right. Talking about the products, item types, and categories, those are going to be different compared to what we explained yesterday for COE. We will have a summary line. Okay, remember that yesterday we had a summary line that I think it was the load list. Okay, that was summarizing the information for COE. When we talk about troops, the summary product is called chocks. Okay, and it should be added before any other product category, and it identifies all the different items that belong to the same forwarding order. And then within that chock, we can have different products. We can have, as we will say, we can have the passengers, we can have the different type of baggages, like a cargo or cabin baggage, and we can also specify if those baggages are dangerous goods. Okay, so we will have specific product types for dangerous goods, so that we can flag them as dangerous, so that the freight forwarder can treat them specially. We have the item type, that is more system field to identify the different type of item, and the item category. Okay, that is basically PRD for products and PKJ for the package, for the chocks. Okay, so basically we have the summary line item that we said it was the chocks that would contain the different type of items included in that shipment. The item category for chocks is the PKJ, right, the package, and then the other ones are flagged as products. And as products, we have troops that are the passengers. We have the related baggages. We have the cabin baggage that can be normal or dangerous goods, dangerous cabin baggage, and we have the cargo baggage, the normal one, and the dangerous goods. Okay, and then we have three different product types, right? We have three different products to identify the requirements in terms of number of flights. So with these three products, this a big size flight, mid-size flight, or small size flight is how we can specify in the system the requirements instead of in terms of number of flights. So if we need only one flight, big size, we will include that product, and we specify that we only need one. Okay, we will see an example later on, so that we can refer and we can better understand the meaning of these products. Okay, so that's the information that we will populate in the Excel file, or in case we have a different way of uploading that information into the system, we will still need to indicate that information so that the system can create the forwarding order in TM. Okay, and this is how currently that's reflected in the Excel upload list. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's move forward. If we don't have any question or comment, so feel free to write in the chat, or if you want to speak up, make use of the hand button, okay, so that we can.
There is a question, Leandro, from Raul, if I'm not mistaken. For a rotation, one chock or two is the question.
It's going to be two chocks. Okay? One containing the information of the troops being deployed in a mission, and the other chock containing information about the troops being repatriated. Okay, because in terms of the number of passengers can be different. Okay, we can have more or less being deployed or being repatriated. Okay, so that would refer to different chocks.
Okay, thanks, Leandro. I believe that was clear enough. And also one question from Rodion Kim, where it's for cargo air charter, do we use troops or COE template?
Okay, so in here, just to emphasize that the template, I mean the current solution, the Excel template is the same, all right, but the difference is that we are filling in the Excel template with different information. Okay, so yesterday Brian taught you how to fill in that template with the COE products. Okay, and yesterday we were talking about deploying the vehicles, deploying the other equipment, and not baggages, not baggages related to passengers. And today we are explaining how to deploy the troops and the related baggages in terms of cabin and cargo baggages. Okay.
Yeah, Leandro, if you can go, I think it's the slide before that you had. The
Yeah.
main difference between distinguishing right, the COE template from the troops template are the defaulted lines, like the product, right, chalks that you were talking about, the item types, the item category as well. So this is mainly the difference between one template and the other. So you would be using this one for troops and for COE, the one we showed yesterday. And the summary line, as you well explained, instead of chalks, would read load list for COE.
So thank you, Brian. Yes. So the template, the Excel file is the same, but we populate it with a different products. Okay. I think Alex, you are muted.
No, can, can I add something?
Sure.
Yesterday we discussed with Babacar the template for the passengers to be revised, some formulas to be included. The products like medium, big, or small size of aircraft to be removed. We cannot dictate to the air operators what kind of aircraft to be used. Then the cargo list is not required because this is the entitlement for the passengers. Then there is no issue with MOU. So if MOU should not be even any reference to the MOU. This is we need only the number of troops from the mission which required to be rotated or deployed. So service level like high priority, medium priority, or low priority is not required at all. Everything is high priority. This is it will create only confusion for the vendors.
Okay. Thank you,
But
Alex.
we have
Okay. So
meeting today. We will discuss this issue again.
all right. So thank you for the. So as you can see, I mean the final design is still under discussion. Okay. So even the products might differ. Okay. So but this part of the process is the one that is changing most in the last days. Okay. But at least you're familiar with the different products that are currently designed, and if there are changes, I mean, we can further discuss them next week during the training. Okay, so in case there is no need to specify the type of flight, okay, we don't need to have different products for big size flight, mid size flight, or small size, and maybe we can have only a number of flights. Okay, but the way of working, okay, would be similar with different products. Okay, but thank you for the feedback, Alex, and we don't know why, but you are there, okay, receiving the latest feedback, and I think proposing the last changes that might appear in the system and might be available for 15th January or afterwards. But we'll try our best to. Okay, so we will also learn from you. So thank you, Alex, for feedback, and feel free to intervene at any point in time in case you want to provide any other update that is being done in the last days. Okay. So thank you, and let's continue. Yesterday we also mentioned about the weight, volume information, and the quantity. Okay, so for troops, we might be specifying that information for the different products. Okay, so for example, if we want to specify that we are having, or there is a need to transport 850 passengers, then we need to indicate that using the troops. Okay, sorry. Using the troops product. Okay, so remember that we always need to package all the different products in the chocks line. Okay, and then in the troops we can specify that we have 850 passengers. Okay, we can use the quantity field. Okay, and that way we can specify how many passengers are needed to be transported from the source airport to the destination airport. Okay, and then how many flights. Okay, and this is what Alex just mentioned. So maybe we shouldn't be detecting if the flight should be big, small, or mid-size. So maybe instead of having three different products, we only have one, okay? But in the end, I don't know, Alex, if we will need to specify the number of flights or only with indicating the number of passengers will suffice. But from what we currently know, there is a way in the system to specify or to indicate the requirements in terms of number of flights, and that for that purpose we were using the big size, mid size, and small size products. And then for cabin baggage, we had specific product, that is the cabin baggage, in which we could indicate how many pieces, and for cargo baggage the same. Okay, if the different products changes, we can have different products, but in the end we still need to indicate how many we have, and if needed, the weight and the volume. Okay, so that the freight forwarder can understand which are the requirements in terms of transportation. Okay, how many pieces, how many passengers, and what's the weight and volume of the different baggage pieces to be transported. Okay. Yeah. So I think, Brian, we have a question.
Yes, actually two of them. One from Raul, which maybe we can make sense together here. How do we know the weight and volume of passengers? As of course we were adding that there. Are we using standard? Okay, so I believe you were discussing that.
So I don't think we don't need to specify weight and volume for the passengers, but that we will confirm. Yeah. So Alex?
Yes, this should be removed because this is create confusion for the vendors. When we have passengers by seats, not by volume and weight.
Thank you. All right. So no need to specify that for troops.
Second question is why troop lines have weight and volume specified for passengers. So again, I believe that's back to the same thing we were mentioning.
Yeah. So basically we are using, the current design. If it doesn't change before the implementation, we are using an Excel template with specific columns, okay, for all the different items, okay. So we have a weight column and a volume column that might only apply to baggages, okay. So for example, weight and volume, it doesn't make any sense, as Alex was saying, okay. So we don't need to specify weight and volume for troops, and that only should be specified for baggages if needed, okay. So yeah, no need for troops. So thank you for that. Okay. Any other question, Brian?
Yes, one last one here from George. Can we add another product line for cargo that the TCC may request to convey on these rotation flights? Okay, maybe we need a little, I'm not sure. So we can add another product line for cargo that the TCC may request to convey on these rotation flights.
Definitely you can include those that are requested by the TCC if they are related with the troops, okay. But maybe Alex, you can indicate something there. You have anything to add regarding to that question?
Yes, we will discuss this issue today after lunch with Babacar, how to include another line for the extra baggage, because it's not by TCC also. But in case we are doing only deployment by air, small unit without COE, we need to accommodate some COE there. That's why it will be additional line, but it will be under discussion this after lunch.
Thank you, Alex, for your feedback. We definitely need you, okay? So there might be many questions that have to do with the current way of working, okay? So please keep online because we'll be needing you, okay, in this presentation. So thank you very much for the questions. Any other one, Brian? All right. So let's move ahead. Okay, and let's continue with the forwarding order group. This is a field that can be used to create multiple forwarding orders, doing only one upload. And the specific example for troops would be troops rotation. Okay, so in case we want to create with the same upload, with the same Excel upload, in case we want to create one forwarding order to deploy the troops and a second one to repatriate a different set of troops, we can make use of this forwarding order group field in order to create two different forwarding orders within the same upload. Okay. All right. So if we specify the same numbering, we will only create one forwarding order. If we specify in the same upload two different, like for example 1 and 2, the system will create automatically two different forwarding orders. Okay. The default route that we already mentioned yesterday, in case it doesn't apply that much to troops, okay, because as we said, the route in troops, it's only airport to airport, so the route, there is not even a route, okay, so it's always source to destination, okay, so remove that one for troops, okay, the route is always source to destination. And I think also Alex said that the MOU for troops doesn't even need to be referenced. Okay, can you confirm that part, Alex? I think that also changed from what we understood. For COE, that we said that I mean, if you were attending the UNOE, this reference in the TM, it's always the goods PO number, but for COE and for troops, we wanted to be referencing the number that makes sense for TCCs, and the initial design was to include there the MOU, but I think that's changing. So please, Alex, if you can elaborate a little bit more.
Yes, it will be changed to the mission, TCC or PCC, unit type, and deployment rotation or repatriation, and the date. So it will be totally different, let me say, reference. And then instead of default route, we discussed yesterday with Babakar that it should be some column for the 12 months or less tour of duty. It will create the different formulas, let me say, in the this table, because for the one year and more we have 100 cages entitlement per person, and for the less 45 cages. So, and this will create big difference in the formulas and the requirement. But it's also will be discussed this afternoon.
Definitely. Thank you, Alex. And definitely that will be discussed further on. I think it's next week, Thursday, where we will be talking about the troops, okay, and we will be doing the demo and the exercises. And I'm sure that these things that are changing in the last days will be much more clearer next week, and we will try to convey the right message once we are there in New York. Okay, so thank you very much, Alex, for the feedback. All right. So we said that there is a different numbering convention, okay, for the base reference. The one that it says here, the MOU, is changing the naming convention. Okay. Goods value and currency, okay, for the items. Basically, here we might be referencing to the baggages, okay, but Alex, if you want to say anything about that, because yesterday you were mentioning that that didn't apply, for example, for COE in the case of LOA, okay?
The same, it doesn't apply here. We are not putting the price for the passengers or for the cargo.
Not even for the baggages, right? For
No.
Okay. So
we have no idea how much does it cost each person.
Okay. Good. So no need to indicate that. Thanks God we need to specify the sales group. So sales group, that one it should be, okay? It's more a system field, okay? And that's always S02 both for COE and for troops, okay? And that specifies the planners that will see that those forwarding orders so that they can do planning, okay? So this sales group that is always the same specifies that the COE planners, the troops planners will be the ones that will be able to plan the transportation. Incoterm, as we said yesterday for COE, we are using standard Incoterms. So for an LOA scenario, we will indicate DAP, and for non-LOA, we will indicate XWorks. Okay, and this works in a similar way as we did yesterday with the COE. Then we have a field to specify the shipper, okay, the member country, and here we are indicating the business partner, and then the receiving plant. Okay, in this case, the plant related to the mission. Okay. All right. Can we move forward? Yes. Okay, so we explained this offline part that is done by filling in the Excel file, and that can change in the future, okay? And then, so the main outcome of this process that might change in the future is to create the forwarding orders. Currently, it's done by doing an upload using an Excel file, and that might change in the future. But the main outcome is that these forwarding orders are created so that we can do the planning, and then all the transportation events can be reported in the system. Okay, so with the current design, once we do the upload, the Moya system will automatically create the forwarding orders. We can have, as we said, with the same upload, we can create multiple by using the forwarding order group. And also, the system will create automatically the freight units so that we can plan the transportation and we can submit the events. Okay. So the upload of the load list, okay, there is a, with the current design, there is a specific T code to do the upload that will allow us to upload the Excel file into Umoja, and to create, in this example, we used the forwarding order group field to create two different forwarding orders that, as you can see, they refer to a rotation. So the first forwarding order refers to transportation from Kathmandu to Juba, and then the second forwarding order is the opposite direction, from Juba to Kathmandu in a different date. So in the same upload, we are asking the system to create two different forwarding orders related to rotation of troops. And in here, we can see the different products that we explained before in the Excel file. Okay, so there is a way to do the upload. What else? So once we complete the upload and we have the green light and the numbering in the upload T code, the system will automatically create a freight unit for each forwarding order. Okay. Both the forwarding orders and the freight units are already, here we are already talking about TM documents. So both of them are created in TM module and can be seen in TM. So this screen relates to forwarding order 21 and ending with 161. And we can see the forwarding order, and also in this case we are talking about the second number appearing here relates to a freight unit, and these two documents are the ones that are automatically created by the system once we complete the Excel upload. Okay, so here we have the forwarding order and we have the freight unit, and as we said, for each forwarding order we have a freight unit, a unique freight unit created for each forwarding order. Okay, and with that we have completed the load list phase of the end-to-end process, and we can initiate the planning. Okay, the planned transportation that for troops will be much easier because we don't have multiple legs. So as we said, the transportation is always airport to airport. In the example we saw, so the Excel upload should always have a source location, the source airport, and a destination location, the destination airport. Okay, so in the case of Nonloa, the system will automatically create the freight order, so no need for planning. So the system will create automatically the freight order from the source airport to the destination airport, and will automatically assign the troops contributing country as the carrier, because in an LOA scenario, the TCC is responsible for the transportation. Okay. In here, in the LOA scenario, we don't have a route, so it's always destination to, from source to destination. So there shouldn't be any step to amend the route because it's always from source to destination. Okay. Okay, as we said, the freight order is automatically created, automatically planned by the system, and always from the source airport to the destination airport, only one freight order, no multiple legs, no pre-main on carriage as with the UNOE and COE. So only one FO from source to destination. The TCC is assigned as carrier, okay, and system-wise, the freight order it's ready for execution. So if needed, events and attachments could be uploaded in TCC and TM. But I think maybe Alex, you can confirm what we discussed yesterday. So in the LOA scenario, we said that for COE, you don't have anything to do with the transportation, and you might not need to report any event and attachments for the LOA scenario. System-wise, system will allow, but maybe you can, if you're still there, Alex, and you want to confirm that part, please.
Okay, I strongly believe the mission can upload movement control report, movement completion report (MCR) after the movement done. So in order to have some information on the completion of this, or even if it's by check, we have, for example, multiple checks, a check for the rotation of 2,000 troops. So we will have each time, let me say, different MCR. So its mission responsibility will be mission MoveCon.
Okay, so thank you, Alex. So definitely the system allows to do that. So at the moment, we do the upload of the Excel file. System creates forwarding order, creates the freight unit, and creates the FO. Okay, so also the FO, it's already in the ready for execution, and it can be managed from TM. So we said that TCCs will not have access to the carrier collaboration portal as freight forwarders will do. But in TM, any UN role, meaning planners or other like MoveCon in the missions, if they have access to TM, they can submit related events. So that scenario could also work. Okay. All right. So we said that we have, before we explained that the forwarding order was created automatically, the same as with the freight unit, and in the LOA scenario, in an LOA scenario even the freight order. The freight order, remember that as in UNOE or as in COE, freight orders are the documents in TM that reflect the shipment, okay? And they are used to report all the events. So the freight orders in an LOA scenario are automatically created by the system because there is no awarding of the freight order to freight forwarder. So even the carrier is assigned to the troops contributing country that is fully responsible for the transportation. Okay. All right. Okay. So we completed the LOA part. Let's see how the non-LOA scenario works. Okay. In this case, it's UN, the one responsible for transportation, and is what we call the freight forwarder stage. For the non-LOA scenario, the freight orders will not be created automatically. Okay, so the planner will need to go to the transportation cockpit and do the planning, meaning creating the freight orders. So the planning in a troop scenario, it will be straightforward. So there are no different routes. So as we said, there are no different routes. So the proposal is going to be only one from source to destination airports. So no need to select from different proposals, different routes, because there's going to be only one allowed route from source airport to destination airport. And the system will calculate the charge estimates based on the what we said, the master data. Okay, so based on the master data, the system will be able to estimate the estimated amount for that transportation. And we will create the freight order for the freight forwarder stage. So this FO that in an LOA scenario was automatically created right after the upload. Okay, in a non-LOA scenario, it's triggered by the planner. So the planner will need to select the freight unit from the transportation cockpit and raise or tell the system to create the freight order. And the system will even allow the planner to combine several freight units in the same shipment. So in case we want to ship or to ask the freight forwarders to transport two different requirements, two different troops requirement for transportation, we can combine them in the same freight order and award them in the same award them to the same freight forwarder. Okay. So the creation of the freight orders, it's triggered manually by the planners, and we can also generate the statement of work from the manually created freight order. Okay, so the statement of work will be the document where we will have all the requirements for the transportation, the different items, and that will serve as an input for the freight procurement. Okay, so let's see a little bit more in detail what we meant with that. So in a troop scenario, the freight forwarder is responsible for the transportation, and once we see the transportation cockpit, that is the tool that allows planners to do the transportation, we will be talking about the profiles that allows planners to filter freight units based on the different Incoterms. So we will have different profiles. Okay, so in case you have the roles in order to plan, for example, both COE and troops, you can select which profile you want to be using, so that you only see freight units related to troops or freight units related to COE. Okay, that will allow you to filter the kind of freight units you want to be planning that session. Okay, so that's what we mean by profile and layouts in the transportation cockpit, and we will be showing to you that next week in the hands-on exercises. Okay. As we said, several freight units can be combined, okay, in the same transportation if we have same pickup and destination airport, and if both transportation requirements are within the same time window, and you can ask the system to combine both freight units in the same freight order, in the same shipment for, or in the same transportation that will be requested to the freight forwarders. Okay, so you can still combine even in troops scenario. Okay, and you can do that. That's the screen for the transportation cockpit, and you can request the system to combine freight units by selecting, okay, by selecting the two freight units. Make sure, okay, that loading locations, okay, so the source and destination locations should be the same airports, okay, and you can request the system to combine both freight units in the same freight order. Okay. The system will display the different proposals that we saw for COE and for UNOE, that as we can have different routes because we have different legs in the transportation. There are going to be different proposals from the system. In a troops scenario, only one transportation proposal will be displayed because the route is always from source airport to the destination airport. We will only see one transportation proposal from source airport to destination airport, and we can see the proposal number and the different freight units. In case we are combining, we will see different freight units as part of the same proposal, and as we said, only one freight order, so no pre-main on legs, no different legs. For a troop scenario, the transportation is always airport to airport, and that's why we can only see stage 0001, because the freight orders are only one. Okay.
Sorry, Leandro. Just one quick question from Raul, asking about the 7-day window that you were talking about in the slide before. So can that be edited? Can the 7 window day be edited? I guess he means if it can be extended to more than 7 days.
Okay, so we'll need, because from what we know, the window it's specified in the design. Okay, so if you select two different freight units that don't go within the same within this 7 days, okay, the system will propose you to do the transportation in different dates. Okay, but we'll check that part also with your module. Okay, just to confirm if we can edit or if we can amend manually this automatic proposal from the system. Okay, but by the test we have been doing, if you select two freight units that don't fall within that 7 days window, the system will propose you to transport them in different freight orders, right? To transport them separately in different dates. But probably will confirm that also with Umoja, and we will. By the way, talking about the questions and answers, we have been collecting the ones from last WebEx sessions. Okay, we have shared our proposed answers with the project team. Okay, and we are waiting for the final review by the project team and also by Umoja, and we will share that those questions and answers with all of you. Okay, and that question about the 7 days window, it will also be included there. Okay, so thank you.
Actually, Raul has a second question here. Can we operate reverse route for rotation from destination to source?
So can we repeat that question, please?
So maybe we need a little clarification on that. No, I guess because we are doing round trip. No, we can fill in the Excel as you mentioned before, round trip, right, from source destination and the other way around. So if we can operate reverse route for rotation from destination to source, I guess that's part of what Leandro was talking about originally, right? When you fill in the Excel, you can add both the source to destination and destination to source in the same Excel.
So definitely, in a scenario, in a rotation scenario, okay, we have two different forwarding orders and definitely two different freight units, okay? And in the transportation cockpit, you'll see as a planner that the loading location and the unloading location, right, the source and destination airports will be different, right? So one will be to from Kathmandu to Juba, and the other one will be from Juba to Kathmandu, okay? Yeah.
And yes, one more from Kim. For COE Air is always airport to airport. We use troop scenario. Is that not confusing? Now, that question, I may need a little more clarification on that as well. COE Air, I mean, troops is always airport to airport. I think what may have been, what probably is the confusion here is the fact that the COE has an Excel that is very similar to the Excel that Troops is using, and maybe it's the confusion there. Or maybe I believe also in the poster, right, it says COE, I think, on the Excel part. But this is strictly referring only to the Troop scenario. And the Excel for Troop scenario is different, especially in the defaulted fields that have to do with product and item category. I'm not sure if you need us to develop on that question a little more, Kim. If you could let us know.
Yeah. So in the COE, as we saw yesterday with Brian, you can have transportation not only from airport to airport, but also from the source city up to the final city in the mission, okay? And even though you can have leg that the transportation mode is air, you can still have the planning for the road part from the maybe from the city to the airport, and then from the airport to the final destination in the mission. And that you can do that for COE, but for troops, we are only managing the transportation from airport to airport. So I don't know, Alex, you might be adding something in that part regarding the difference between COE, air, and the troops. So if we are not mistaken, for troops, we only manage airport to airport. For COE, we can be managing the transportation from the source up to the final destination. Okay.
We can discuss this issue after lunch, actually, with the Umoja team.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. All right. So let's continue. So we said that we had the proposal, only one from the system, and we can create the freight order that is going to be always using the flight as mode of transportation. Okay, we have created the freight order document. Okay, and in the case of a freight forwarder stage, in the case of a non-LOA, as we saw yesterday for COE, the carrier will be defaulted to this set dummy underscore car, okay? Because we then, after the freight procurement is completed, we will be updating that field with the awarded freight forwarder. Sorry. The system automatically calculates the estimated charges based on the master data, okay? And the actual freight cost can be updated after we have the final charges submitted by the freight forwarder. Okay, so in the charges, this is the how it looks like the freight order in TM. And as Brian was explaining yesterday, we have the different information. We have a lot of tabs with the different information, okay, like the general data, the business partner, the items that are part of this freight order, the different stages, okay, that in a troop scenario, we will only have one stage from airport to airport. The related documents in the document flow. In the document flow, we will be able to see all the predecessor documents like the freight units and the related forwarding order. And in this screenshot, we are displaying the charges tab, and you can see that based on the master data, the system is providing an estimated cost for that transportation. Okay. And we have a bunch of other tabs like the execution tab. The execution tab is the one that we can use in TM to report events, okay? And in the case of non-LOA, as a UN role, we will be able to see in the execution tab all the different events reported by the freight forwarders, okay? The same thing for attachments. So we will be seeing the practical exercises and in the demo the different information that is available in TM for the different TM documents like freight orders, freight units, or forwarding orders. Okay. All right. Then we have the statement of work document that can be printed and edited, okay? Offline can be edited with additional details. And the statement of work will include the following details like the forwarding order number, freight order, and all the different requirements like departure and destination airports, and some other fields, okay? And I'm sure that this is still a work in progress, and I think Alex could even say more on this part, because if I'm not mistaken, the template for the statement of work documents were being revised, okay, and upgraded, so they are including in particular details for COE and I think even for troops. Okay, so we might be having more information on the different fields available in the statement of work document once we are there in New York. Okay. So here you have screenshot of the statement of work. Okay. And all the different rates that are related to the same MOU, but not MOU, the naming convention that we said before. So all the freight orders related to the same kind of agreement, okay, that is defined by the naming convention, by the naming code that we indicated when we did the upload, will be included in the statement of work document. All right. Yes, I think we have a question, Brian.
Actually, three. I believe you may have answered one already, but just in case. Raul is asking that concerning the SOW generated, can we edit with Word software or only PDF software? That's the first one.
Okay, so regarding that, I mean, this is something that I was already asked yesterday, and we have included that in the Q&A document that we have shared with the project team, asking for confirmation based on our knowledge and the information we received. Is not yet confirmed, but the one we know is that the edition will be done in PDF editor, okay? But we need to confirm part. But as far as we know, the edition will be, so the download will be a PDF document, and the editions will have to be, I mean, might need to be done with the PDF editor, okay? But we will confirm that and will be written in the Q&A document. Yes.
And still talking about the SOW, once edited, can it be uploaded back to TM in this case. So I guess you download it, we edit the document offline, and then can that one be uploaded once again back into TM?
Oh, yeah, so good question. We saw in the previous screenshot. Okay, let me go to the previous slide. Okay, so in here we saw the different tabs available in the in a freight order. Okay, so definitely we can use the attachments tab to upload documents, and there is even a way to upload attachments that can only be seen in TM, so that they are not reflected in CCP. Okay, yeah, so the scope of work document can be downloaded, but then it can be added as an attachment, but we will confirm that part also with the Moja team, because that attachment will be like a kind of additional document for that freight order, but not as a kind of update on the SOW. We will confirm that it is a way to really define the edited SOW as a new version.
And the last question here is, for estimated charges, would it be the budgeted cost of the movement so that the actual cost comparison can be done after the movement? So, George, let me repeat that question here. For estimated charges, would it be the budgeted cost of the movement so that the actual cost comparison can be done after the movement?
Yeah, thank you, Brian. All right, so as we said, I think we mentioned that also in the UNOE session. So the estimated value will always be available. So even if after we have the final charges, we include them in the in TM, in the freight order, we have specific fields for the actual charges. So we can always do reports to compare the estimated values with the actual values, right? And in terms of budgeting and budget impact, remember, I mean, we will see later on that we still need to raise shopping cart and a PO, and that will be the documents in SRN that will impact the budget with the freight cost. Okay, so in terms of budget impact, we still have the steps in SRM that are the ones really impacting the budget, okay, in Umoja. But in terms of TM and comparing estimates with actual charges, there are two different fields, one for estimates and the other one for actual charges, and we can always do reports to compare both of them. And now that we are talking about reports, another thing that is a work in progress is the reporting part for TM. So the Umoja team is working on developing an analysis workspace in BI to be able to run reports on all the information available in TM. So everything that we are now talking, freight orders, freight units, and the different fields, okay, Umoja is working on providing all this information in BI so that you can run reports. And one very valuable report will be to compare estimates with the actual charges, and if there are differences, it's because the master data for that is used to calculate the estimates should be amended to make it more real. Okay. Any other question, Brian? Yes.
There is one more from Rodion where it says, I'm not sure if, let's see, how estimated amount is calculated. So how is the estimated amount calculated? Is it done using historical data from a similar flight?
Yeah, so good question. So estimates, With the current solution, Umoja doesn't learn from previous transportation, but what it provides a set of tables that needs to be populated with the kind of rates. So, for example, if you are talking about troops, the master data maintainers will have a way in the system to provide, for example, an estimate or a rate based, for example, on the number of passengers. Okay, so we could specify in the system that for each passenger from that particular airport to that particular destination airport could cost a particular estimate, and based on that rate and based on the number of passengers that we need to transport, the system will be able to provide an estimate. So it's not based on historical data, but it's more based on rates. Rates in terms of number of passengers, rates in terms of number of carrying baggage, rates in terms of number of dangerous cargo baggage that need to be transported. So based on those rates, and those rates can also be updated if we find out that the real charges are not similar to the estimates. So the maintainers can always change those rates in order to do the estimates more real. Okay, so let's move on. So we were talking about the freight forwarder stage. We already showed the statement of work, and this statement of work is what serves as an input for the freight procurement. The freight procurement process is not changing. Okay, so it remains in SRM, the part of the freight shopping cart. Okay. So it needs to be raised and approved, and then the RFX document in order to initiate the bid from the different freight forwarders. Then we have offline the solicitation process in order to get in touch with the freight forwarders and to receive the different prices, the different bids. Okay, and once we have the selected freight forwarder, we will raise the freight PO that needs to be approved, and that's going to be the one, okay, that we will need to populate in TM. Okay, so this process in SRM remains the same as it is currently. Okay, and some things to be considered. Okay. This line applies more to UNOE, okay, because for UNOE we are raising a shopping cart for goods. I mean, currently we are raising together in the same shopping cart goods and freight, okay, but for troops, okay, there is no shopping cart for goods, so the freight services are requested in a separate shopping cart. We have the statement of work document that can be downloaded from TM, okay? And then we have all the information that is available in TM in terms of requirements, number of passengers, number of cabin baggage pieces, okay? So we have all the information related to that transportation requirement, we have it in TM. What it changes is that after we have awarded the carrier, after we have awarded the freight forwarder and we have the PO, we need to assign that freight forwarder and the PO number in TM. So we will need to go into TM. So there is a specific role for that, the FO manager, that will need to go into TM and go to the freight order document and update that, and update the freight order with the selected freight forwarder and indicate the related freight PO. And if there are changes in terms of dates, we can still do that by editing the freight order, and we will need to indicate the real charges. So Once we have the real cost of that freight, we will edit the freight order with the actual charges, so that we can always compare the estimated charges with the actual ones. Okay. These two steps are important, not only because we need to relate TM with what happened in SRM, but because assigning the carrier to the FO will automatically change the freight order status, meaning it will become in status ready for execution. So after we assign the carrier in the freight order, remember that the default carrier was set dummy underscore car. So after we assign the real freight forwarder, the system will automatically change the status of the FO to ready for execution. And that means that the freight forwarder will see that freight order in the carrier collaboration portal, and they will be able to start providing updates about that transportation, about that shipment. Okay? They will be able to start submitting events, attachments, and so on. So we already mentioned that the dates can also be amended, and the charges can also be populated with the real one, and the system always allow comparing estimated charges with the actual charges, okay, for reporting purposes. At the moment in TM, but also in the next future in BI, once all the information is available in BI. Okay, so once we have completed the freight procurement and the FO has changed to ready for execution when we assign the freight forwarder, then the execution and monitoring phase starts. Okay, for the LOA, what we discussed before. So Alex confirmed that this, in the case of an LOA, we might not be dealing that much with the events and attachments, but if MoveCon in the mission need to update the final event, once the troops have arrived to the mission, they can do it in TM. They can update the events, and they can also upload attachments. And it will be done in TM because, as we said, TCCs will not be granted access to CCP, to the carrier collaboration portal. Okay, so in here you have it. TCCs will not have access to the carrier collaboration portal, and all events will need to be submitted on their behalf. Okay, in case MoveCon in the missions needs to submit any event. Okay. All right. As we said, once the first event is submitted, the FO changes to in execution, and no changes in the route are further allowed. So here we have some examples about the events. So events in a freight order, we have expected events, the ones that are defaulted, and then we can have unexpected events like delays. Okay, so we can add planned events or unexpected events. Okay, so we can see when or the date when each event happened, so the planned date and also the actual event date. And very similarly for the freight forwarder stage, so in a non-LOA scenario, freight forwarders will have access to the carrier collaboration portal to submit events and attachments. And in TM, you and roles will be able to see all the reported events by the freight forwarders and all the related attachments. And moreover, they can also do some updates. So if needed, the UN roles in TM, you will be able to do or to include attachments or to submit events directly in TM that can be seen by the freight forwarders in the carrier collaboration portal. Okay, so freight forwarders will be granted access to CCP, Okay, there is a real integration between CCP and TM. So everything, all the events and attachments that are submitted in CCP can be seen in TM. So UN roles will not have access to CCP, but they will be able to see all the submitted information in TM. UN roles can also submit events on behalf of freight forwarders directly in TM in case it's needed. And this we already mentioned before. Once the first event is submitted, the status changes to in execution, and no further changes in the route or dates are allowed. Okay. All right. So any questions so far?
Yes, Leandro. I think Oleg wants to speak.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay. Do we have any connection between SRM and TM in terms that as soon as we will have freight order, it will be seen from a module, let me say, from SRM, if we are going to the PO or to the shopping cart, will this can we find this freight order in the related documents?
Not in SRM, but the other way around. Yes, in TM. That's why we said that. That's why in here, let me go back. So in here, we need to specify the freight PO in TM.
Yes, but
okay. So if you go into, yeah, sorry.
Okay, we are following on the contract, for example, by the PO number or by shopping cart, not by freight order. And the payment is also done through SRM.
Mm-hmm.
So we need this connection in between SRM and TM in order to understand on the PO where is which number of freight order, for example, not vice versa.
All right, so we will check that part. For sure, what we know is that in TM, you can filter by freight PO, but the other way around, that we are not sure. I mean, if in SRM, we are indicating a reference to the freight order, okay? But good question, Alex. We will also include that in the Q&A document, okay? So definitely in TM, you have the freight PO. Okay, and it can be used for reporting. So in case you want to see in TM if any freight order is related to SRM PO, you can do that because we are assigning the freight PO in TM. But in SRM, as far as we know, we are not referencing the related freight orders. And as far as we know, there is no integration between SRM and TM. But we will confirm that with the module team, okay? Yes.
And yes, the last question here from Kim. Question, actually, this is could be a very reference to a reality that they constantly live, which is that it happens quite often that we need to make changes or amendments in the FO to mirror it with the PO. Right? So the question is, once the FO is in ready for execution status, can amendments or changes be made to that FO?
Yes, so as we said, talking about the statuses. So the freight order will become ready for execution at the moment we assigned the carrier. Okay, at the moment we assign the freight forwarder, meaning that at that moment the freight order will be visible in the carrier collaboration portal, and the freight forwarder will be able to submit events. At this stage, we can still do changes to reflect the PO. Okay, but once the first event is submitted, the status, let's say that once the freight forwarder goes into CCP and submits the first event, like says departed, okay? At that moment, the freight order will change from ready for execution to in execution. And at that stage, no more changes in the plan will be allowed because the transportation is already in execution, because the let's say that the flight already departed. Okay, so as long as there is no events, the freight order will still be in ready for execution, and you can still change the plan because the flight hasn't departed yet, right? So that transportation hasn't started yet. But at the moment, there is the first event, the departure. We cannot change the plan because the transportation has already started. You can do changes. You can submit events to reflect changes. Let's say you're expecting the flight to arrive on a date. You can say via an event that the flight arrived in a different date, and that will be part of the execution phase. Okay, but the plan. Okay, the plan, meaning that the plan dates can only be changed before the first event is submitted.
Thanks, Leandro. Actually, you also answered the second half of the question, which was, at what point can we not make any more changes in the FO? So that is the last question from this side.
All right, so let's move forward. So I think we talked about the events and attachments in the freight forward stage. Last slides are the same as we had yesterday for the COE. In here, for your reference, because I think we don't have much more time, you have when the email notifications are automatically sent. So in here, you can see that when we have automatic email notifications for unexpected events and to whom they are sent, okay? And the same thing for planned events. So which events will have notifications and to whom they are sent. Okay, maybe these events don't apply that much to a troop scenario, but you have it here for your reference. Okay, when and which events trigger automatic email notifications. Okay, just for your reference. Then in here you have the different enterprise roles that are being implemented in TM. You have the planner under main functions, the freight order management, okay, with their functions. We don't want to repeat because I think we have same people today as yesterday. So here you have it here for your reference. The role related to master data maintainer, the one granted to freight forwarders to access CCP, and the new one that is created in Umoja BI to run reports. Okay, and related acronyms. Okay, so that I think was it for the session. Okay, we hope that maybe we have repeated similar concepts in the 3 sessions, but we hope that by today you are somehow familiar with the end-to-end process, and when we do the practical exercises and the demos in the system, you know at what stage of the process we are referring to. Okay. Okay. Any question, comments? So Alex, if you want to add anything, I don't know if we have Babacar or any other member from the project team that we can unmute. Yeah, Alex, if you want to add anything, feel free to do it now, or anyone else, if you want to unmute and say something. Anyway, we look forward to meet you all in New York. We are traveling this weekend, and we look forward to see you all there, okay? And we will all learn from each other, we are sure.
Yes, exactly, Leandro. Thank you guys for attending the session. So the next time we do see each other, it'll be face-to-face in New York. Thank you for participating and bringing us up to speed with the latest changes. So have a good week, rest of the week, and good weekend, and see you next week in New York.
Thank you all.